In the heart of the city, where glittering skyscrapers touched the night sky and luxury thrived, Emma stood behind the bar of an upscale restaurant, pouring wine into crystal glasses with a practiced elegance. Her job was a necessity, a means to support her dreams while keeping her head above water in a world that often felt overwhelming. The clinking of glasses and murmured conversations created a soothing backdrop. Yet tonight felt different. There was an undercurrent of tension in the air, thick and electrifying, and it set her on edge. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. The door swung open, and a cold gust swept through the restaurant, drawing her attention. In walked a man whose presence seemed to command the entire room. He was tall, dark-haired, and impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that accentuated his strong build and exuded an air of authority. As he moved, people instinctively parted, their eyes drawn to him like moths to a flame. Emma's heart raced. This was no ordinary customer. This was someone powerful, someone dangerous. Her instincts told her to tread carefully, to remain detached. Yet, when their gazes met across the bar, something within her stirred, a mix of curiosity and defiance. Emma refused to be intimidated. This city was rife with men like him, power-hungry and arrogant, and she had dealt with her fair share of them in her life. They thrived on fear, but she had learned that fear could be a double-edged sword. It could either bind you or set you free. "Martini, straight up," he ordered, his voice deep and smooth. It wrapped around her like silk, a stark contrast to the raw energy he radiated. As she prepared his drink, she couldn't help but steal glances at him. There was something magnetic about him, a blend of danger and allure that was impossible to ignore. She was no stranger to temptation, yet she could feel the warning bells ringing in her mind. Setting the martini in front of him, she mustered a confidence she barely felt. "It's on the house," she said, letting a smile play on her lips. "Generous," he replied, his eyes narrowing slightly as if assessing her. Most would charge a premium for a cocktail this good. In that moment, she felt the weight of his scrutiny, as if he could see right through her facade. She held his gaze, unflinching, and liked that he seemed intrigued rather than dismissive. "Well, I believe in offering a good experience. It might keep you coming back for more." A flicker of amusement crossed his face. "You think I'll be back?" "Only if you enjoy the drink," she quipped, her heart pounding. She didn't know why she was flirting with fire, challenging someone who could easily crush her spirit with a single word. But there was something about him, something that ignited a spark of bravery deep within her. He took a sip, savoring the drink as he studied her. "I'm Luca," he introduced himself, his voice low, a promise of secrets yet to unfold. "Emma," she replied, forcing herself to maintain the light tone, even as the name drew a weight from nowhere, like a shroud wrapping around them. The moment felt charged, teetering on the brink of something unforeseen, yet the world around them continued to swirl in a distant hum. As they conversed, Emma couldn't shake the awareness of the men who surrounded Luca. They loomed in the background, watching, assessing, as if ready to intervene at the faintest sign of trouble. She knew they were tied to him, part of a world that made her skin crawl. The Mafia was a beast all of its own, dark and treacherous, and she had heard stories whispered in shadowy corners, tales that made her instincts scream to run far away. But Luca was captivating, pulling her deeper into his orbit, and she felt an uncomfortable pull of attraction that she desperately tried to ignore. What would her mother think if she knew? The thought made her scoff silently. Her mother had always warned her about men like him, men who thrived on power, who played with people's lives like pawns on a chessboard. She dismissed the thought just as quickly, unwilling to let the shadows of her past dictate her present. "Tell me, Emma," Luca said, leaning forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "What would it take for you to leave this place behind?" His question was like a jolt to her system, and she paused, the weight of his inquiry hanging in the air between them. It echoed with implications, running through her mind like a haunting melody. She blinked back surprise, unsure how to respond. Did he sense her yearning for more than the mundane routine of mixing drinks and catering to the whims of rich patrons? "I don't think I'm in the business of leaving just yet," she replied, her voice steady, the bravado spilling out naturally. "I have dreams that require a bit of stability." Luca's gaze lingered on her, assessing, before a smile tugged at the corner of his mouth, enigmatic and charming. "Stability is overrated," he countered, the gravity of his tone challenging her to reconsider. "Sometimes all it takes is a single leap of faith." Emma felt a shiver at his words, a strange mix of intrigue and apprehension twisting within her. "Leap of faith into what? A world I don't understand?" "Exactly." His voice was low, drawing her in closer. She needed to break the spell he was weaving. "And what makes you think I'd want to take that leap with someone like you?" "Maybe," he replied, "I can show you what lies beyond the safety of the shore." In that moment, Emma's curiosity ignited fiercely. Luca was a puzzle wrapped in mystery, and she couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to immerse herself in his world, even if it meant facing its dangers. As their eyes locked, she felt an inexplicable connection begin to weave between them, a thread of intrigue and peril pulling tighter. She would learn about his world, she decided. She would unravel the enigma that was Luca, even if it terrified her. As the night wore on and the restaurant buzzed with life around them, Emma sensed that her life was on the cusp of a significant change. Luca was not just a man in a suit. He was a key to a world she had only glimpsed from afar. And once the door opened, it would be impossible to close again. The atmosphere within the upscale restaurant was charged with an electric tension, an unspoken agreement hanging in the air between Emma and Luca. As they exchanged playful banter, Emma felt herself drawn further into his orbit. It was a dangerous game, but there was something thrilling about flirting with the unknown. Yet the real world loomed just outside their bubble. She knew he wasn't merely a charming stranger. He was a man entwined with shadows and secrets. As they spoke, Emma noticed the way his gaze flickered towards the entrance, a subtle tension settling into his posture. She could sense something was off, as if the very air around them thickened with unseen stakes. Just then, a group of men entered the restaurant, their presence commanding and assertive, each one a stark reminder of the world Luca operated in. Their attention was focused on him, and she felt a pang of unease. "Excuse me for a moment," Luca said, his voice low and steady. The way he turned toward the group spoke volumes. His demeanor shifted from charming to businesslike in an instant. Emma felt a pang of disappointment at the thought of their conversation being cut short, but she reminded herself that this was the reality of his world. She watched as Luca approached the men, their hushed tones barely reaching her ears. A few moments passed, and she could see the tension in Luca's body language. He was no longer the magnetic man who had captivated her moments ago. He was a leader, facing a challenge, his expression hardening with the weight of expectations. Emma's heart raced as she tried to decipher the dynamics at play. She caught snippets of their conversation, words like meeting and decision, floating through the air, and a sense of foreboding washed over her. When Luca finally returned, his expression was a mix of determination and agitation. He leaned against the bar, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. "I have to cancel a meeting," he said, his voice steady but low, as if sharing a secret. "It's crucial, but tonight I'd rather be here." Emma's heart skipped a beat, the implications of his words swirling in her mind. "Cancel a meeting? Just like that?" she asked, trying to mask her surprise with feigned nonchalance. He nodded, a flicker of defiance crossing his features. "That meeting was supposed to be important, but there are moments in life that take precedence. Tonight is one of them. A rush of warmth spread through her, but it was accompanied by a sharp pang of anxiety. She couldn't shake the feeling that this decision might have repercussions. Doesn't that put you at risk? I mean, in your line of work. His gaze softened momentarily, and the walls he had built around himself started to crack. Every choice comes with risks, but sometimes the reward is worth it. Emma's mind raced as she processed his words. Here was a man who thrived in a world that demanded loyalty and ruthlessness, yet he was willingly putting those expectations aside for a stranger. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. What did it say about him, about her, that she was the reason behind such a significant decision? The men who had entered earlier now loomed in the background, their expressions hard and unreadable. She could sense the disapproval radiating from them, a silent warning that filled her with unease. Luca's choice to stay, to prioritize this fleeting moment over a crucial meeting, was not just a testament to his character. It was a gamble that could unravel the threads of his carefully constructed life. "Luca," she said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper, "you're putting yourself in a precarious position. Don't you think?" He interrupted her, his expression serious. "Emma, I'm willing to take that risk. I want to know you better, and I want to enjoy this night. But what if it backfires? Your world is dangerous. I don't want to be responsible for any fallout." For a fleeting moment, vulnerability flickered across his features. "You're not responsible for my choices. I'm here because I want to be. I'm not just a mafia boss. I'm a man who's growing tired of the weight of expectations. You make me feel free." Her pulse quickened at his admission, the words wrapping around her heart like a tender embrace. Yet, lurking in the shadows were the consequences of his decision, and she couldn't ignore the lurking danger. "What happens if they find out? If you're jeopardizing your position for me?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Luca's gaze hardened, determination replacing the warmth that had briefly enveloped them. "Then they will have to deal with me. I won't let anyone dictate my life, least of all because of a meeting." Emma felt a swirl of emotions, thrill, fear, and an undeniable attraction that pulled at her heartstrings. But she was also aware that his world was fraught with peril, and she was merely a passerby in a life that had no intention of slowing down for her. Suddenly, a loud crash interrupted their moment. A chair toppled over, and the group of men who had been watching them were now advancing, their expressions dark and menacing. "Luca, we need to talk. Now," one of them barked, his voice cutting through the air like a knife. Luca turned, tension radiating from him, and Emma could feel the shift in the atmosphere. He straightened up, his demeanor shifting back to the impenetrable mafia boss. "I'm done with meetings for tonight," he replied, his voice firm. The man stepped forward, the air thickening with unresolved issues. "You can't just—" "Back off," Luca commanded, his voice low and dangerous. Emma felt the heat of his anger, a force she had never encountered before. She watched as the other men hesitated, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. Luca's presence was commanding, a storm brewing within him. Emma could see the weight of his responsibilities pressing down on him, the conflict between his personal desires and professional obligations at odds. The tension escalated, and she found herself caught in the middle of a world she had tried to keep at arm's length. As the confrontation unfolded, Emma's heart raced in her chest. She wanted to reach out to pull him back from the brink, but she felt small and powerless in the face of the storm brewing before her. Finally, Luca turned back to her, his gaze softening amidst the chaos. "I won't let them take this moment away from us." Her breath caught as she realized that in this dangerous dance, the stakes were higher than she had ever imagined, and the line between safety and peril was blurring. What had begun as a simple encounter over drinks was spiraling into something far more complex and profound. As the tension escalated, Emma's thoughts raced. Luca was a man of power, yet in that moment, standing beside him and facing the storm together, she felt a flicker of courage ignite within her. She had entered his world, and despite the danger that loomed, she was determined to stand by his side. But as the confrontation reached its peak, she couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty that lingered in the air. What were the true consequences of his choice to cancel the meeting for her? And would their connection survive the storm brewing just outside their fragile bubble? In that charged moment, the complexities of their worlds collided, leaving Emma grappling with the realization that her life was about to change in ways she could never have anticipated. The tension between them hung thick in the air, a palpable force that neither could ignore. Emma searched Luca's eyes, trying to understand what lay beneath the surface of his composed exterior. "What is it really like for you?" she asked, her curiosity surfacing despite the warnings in her mind. "I mean, this world you inhabit. Is it as dangerous as it seems?" Luca studied her intently, the weight of her question hanging between them. "Danger is part of it," he admitted, his expression turning serious. "But loyalty is paramount. Without it, everything crumbles. You learn to navigate the shadows. You learn who to trust." His tone was matter-of-fact, but Emma could hear the undercurrents of emotion threading through his words. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed on the bar, breaking the moment. It was a message from her best friend Sarah, reminding her of a gathering at a local gallery. Emma hesitated, torn between the pull of her everyday life and the magnetic allure of Luca's world. "I should get going," she said reluctantly, glancing at the screen. Luca's brow furrowed slightly. "You have plans?" "Just a small get-together. It's nothing important," she replied, waving her hand dismissively, but she could see the flicker of disappointment in his eyes. "But I can stay a bit longer if—" "No," he interrupted, his voice firm, yet softening with an understanding that surprised her. "You should go. But, if you're interested, I'd like to invite you to a private event tomorrow night." "It's exclusive." Emma's heart raced at the implication of his invitation. "Exclusive? Like a Mafia gathering?" she asked, half joking, but the seriousness in his gaze made her realize she wasn't far off. Lucas smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Something like that. It's a gathering of some important individuals, a demonstration of loyalty, perhaps. It wouldn't be a party for the faint of heart." The prospect of entering his world both terrified and intrigued her. "What if I say yes? What does that mean for me?" "It means you'll see the truth of my life, the loyalty, the dangers, the weight of choices. But it also means stepping into a world you may not be ready for." His voice lowered, a hint of vulnerability surfacing. "I don't want to put you in harm's way." Emma weighed his words carefully. This wasn't a casual invitation. It was a gateway into a life that was foreign and thrilling. "I might not be ready, but I can't help but be curious," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Curiosity can be dangerous, Emma." Luca leaned closer, the intensity in his gaze mesmerizing her. "But I won't force you. If you decide to come, just know that it could change everything." A rush of adrenaline surged through her, fueling a desire to accept his invitation. But the weight of uncertainty remained. "And if I don't?" she asked, testing the waters. "Then we'll go back to this," he said, gesturing between them. "And I'll respect your choice. But if you do come—" He paused, letting the implications linger between them. "You'll understand me better. You'll see why I'm willing to take risks for moments like this." His words wrapped around her mind, igniting a fire of anticipation. She could feel the boundaries of her world blurring with the danger and allure of his. "I'll think about it," she replied finally, her voice steady despite the chaos inside her. Luca nodded, a flicker of approval in his eyes. "That's all I ask. Just think about it." They lingered in silence, the restaurant bustling around them as they shared this moment. Emma felt as if they were suspended in time, the outside world fading away. As the hours passed, she felt a sense of connection blossoming between them, an unspoken understanding that transcended their differences. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Eventually, Emma stood, her resolve firming as she made her way to the door. "I'll see you tomorrow, Luca," she said, turning back to face him one last time. "Tomorrow," he echoed, his eyes holding hers with a promise that sent shivers down her spine. As she stepped out into the cool night air, Emma felt the weight of her decision settling in. The thrill of the unknown beckoned her forward, and she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever awaited her at the event would irrevocably change her life. The next day arrived with a sense of urgency. Emma spent the morning in a haze, her thoughts consumed by the invitation. She found herself browsing through her wardrobe, contemplating the perfect outfit that would convey confidence but not overstep into territory she was unprepared for. As the day wore on, her mind wandered back to the restaurant, to Luca's intense gaze and the unspoken promise he had offered. What would it mean to step into his world? Would she be able to handle the complexities that came with it? Emma's heart raced as the evening approached. She had made her decision. Whether she was ready or not, she needed to know more. The intrigue was too strong to resist. By the time she arrived at the venue, a lavish penthouse overlooking the city, the excitement collided with anxiety. She stood at the entrance, her heart pounding in her chest, the city lights sprawling beneath her like a glittering sea. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. Taking a deep breath, she stepped inside, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses enveloping her. The atmosphere was electric, a mixture of elegance and danger that sent shivers down her spine. As she scanned the room, she felt a mix of anxiety and exhilaration. The guests were sophisticated, their laughter hiding secrets that swirled beneath the surface. And in the midst of it all, she spotted Luca, his commanding presence drawing her in like a moth to a flame. Her heart raced as their eyes met, and she knew she had crossed a threshold. Emma was no longer simply a spectator. She was part of a world that promised both allure and peril. The night was just beginning, and with it, the complexities of loyalty, danger, and an undeniable connection awaited her. Emma stepped out of the restaurant, the weight of Luca's invitation still heavy on her mind. The night air was cool, a stark contrast to the warmth of their conversation. Yet the thrill of the unknown mingled with the apprehension that fluttered in her stomach. She walked toward her car, her thoughts swirling around the potential consequences of stepping into Luca's world. Would she truly be prepared for the intensity of his life? Or was she merely chasing a fleeting curiosity? As she approached her vehicle, a sudden feeling of unease washed over her. The streetlights flickered, casting elongated shadows across the pavement. Emma paused, glancing over her shoulder, her instincts kicking in. Something felt off. Just then, a car rolled up beside her, windows tinted, the engine humming ominously. Heart racing, she instinctively took a step back, her pulse quickening with the realization that she was no longer in the safe bubble of the restaurant. The door swung open, and two men emerged, their expressions cold and predatory. Emma recognized them from the rumors surrounding the city, members of a rival gang that Luca had warned her about. Well, well, if it isn't the bartender who thinks she can play with fire, one of them sneered, stepping closer, his voice dripping with menace. Emma's mind raced. She felt the urge to retreat, to call Luca, but deep down, she knew she couldn't show fear. "What do you want?" she demanded, her voice steadier than she felt. The bravado surprised even her, but she refused to back down. The other man chuckled darkly, his gaze scrutinizing her as if she were merely an obstacle in their path. "We're here to deliver a message to your little friend Luca. He's been stepping on toes that he shouldn't be, and it seems you've been getting too close to the fire." They moved closer, surrounding her, their intentions crystal clear. Emma's heart raced, but her mind was sharp. She remembered Luca's words about loyalty and danger, and the sense of urgency ignited a fire within her. "You think you scare me?" she shot back, her voice unwavering. "You're just a couple of thugs looking for attention." The men exchanged glances, surprise flickering in their eyes for a brief second. Emma seized the moment, taking a step forward, forcing them to retreat slightly. "If you want to threaten someone, you should know that I'm not afraid to stand my ground. You think Luca will take this lightly? You have no idea who you're dealing with." The first man stepped back, his expression shifting from arrogance to irritation. "You think you can protect him? You're just a pawn in a game you don't understand." Before she could reply, the sound of screeching tires echoed down the street, and suddenly, a sleek black car careened around the corner. Emma's heart sank as she recognized Luca's vehicle. The men turned, their confidence shaken, but they quickly regained composure. "This isn't over," one of them hissed before they retreated to their car and sped away, leaving Emma trembling but resolute. Luca's car skidded to a halt, and he was out of the vehicle in an instant, a fierce look in his eyes. "Emma!" he shouted, rushing toward her, his expression a mix of worry and anger. "Are you okay?" The urgency in his voice sent a shiver down her spine. "I'm fine," she replied, though she could still feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "But I think they were here for you." Luca's jaw tightened, and he glanced in the direction the rival gang had fled. "Damn it," he muttered under his breath, his protective instincts flaring. "They shouldn't have come here, not after what happened last time." "Luca, I stood my ground," Emma said, surprising herself with her own bravery. "I didn't let them intimidate me." He looked at her, his expression softening for a moment, pride flickering in his eyes. "You shouldn't have had to. This is my world, and I never wanted you to be part of it." "But I am part of it now, whether you like it or not," Emma asserted, feeling a surge of strength within her. "I won't let them threaten me, or you. I'm not some fragile flower." Luca's gaze held hers, a deep intensity reflecting back at her. "You don't understand the risks involved. This isn't just about you and me. It's about survival. I get that, but I'm not going to hide. I want to know what I'm getting into," Emma replied, her voice steady. The conflict between them now felt like more than just a battle of wills. It was a clash of worlds, and she was determined to stand her ground. Luca took a deep breath, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. "You're right. You deserve to know what you're getting into, but I won't let you face this alone. If you want to be a part of my life, then you need to be prepared for the dangers that come with it." As the gravity of their situation settled between them, Emma felt a mix of exhilaration and fear. This confrontation had changed everything, solidifying her resolve to face whatever came next. She knew that stepping into Luca's world would be a risk, but after standing up to the gang members, she felt ready to embrace the uncertainty. "Then let's figure it out together," Emma said, determination shining in her eyes. "I'll be by your side no matter what comes our way." Luca stepped closer, closing the distance between them, his gaze intense and searching. "You're not like anyone I've ever met," he said quietly, the vulnerability in his tone catching her off guard. "And that terrifies me." "Well, maybe it's time for both of us to embrace a little fear," Emma replied, her heart racing. In that moment, the realization struck her. This connection they shared was deeper than she had ever anticipated, woven into the very fabric of danger and loyalty that defined Luca's world. As they stood together, the city lights twinkling around them, Emma knew that this was only the beginning. The confrontation had ignited a fire between them, and she could feel the stakes escalating beyond what either had imagined. "Come on," Luca said, breaking their gaze, his voice steady once more. "We need to get you somewhere safe." Emma nodded, ready to face the unknown, the thrill of the chase coursing through her veins. Together, they would navigate the shadows, confronting whatever challenges lay ahead, united by a bond forged in the heat of danger and unexpected desire. The tension in the air was electric as Emma stood before Luca, the adrenaline from her confrontation with the gang members still coursing through her veins. She had faced danger head-on, and now her heart raced not just from fear, but from a newfound conviction. This was about more than survival. It was about understanding the man who had unexpectedly become a significant part of her life. "Luca," she began, her voice firm yet filled with emotion, "I need you to be honest with me. What's really going on? You can't keep me in the dark forever." Luca's gaze flickered, a storm brewing behind his intense eyes. He took a step closer, the distance between them shrinking, and for a moment, Emma thought he might share his secrets. Instead, he hesitated, his jaw tightening as he wrestled with his thoughts. "Emma, No," she interrupted, her resolve hardening. I'm not asking for a half-truth or a reassuring lie. I deserve to know what I'm getting into. She could feel her heart pounding, the weight of the moment hanging between them. Luca's shoulders slumped slightly, a vulnerability seeping through the cracks of his tough facade. You're right, he admitted, his voice low and steady. But you have to understand, this life, it's dangerous. I've tried to protect you from it. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Protect me? I can't be a part of your life if I don't understand it. Luca exhaled slowly, a heavy sigh escaping his lips as he ran a hand through his hair, clearly torn between the weight of his past and the potential of a future with her. It was years ago, he finally said, his eyes clouded with memories. I was young, too ambitious. I thought I could control everything. But in this world, control is an illusion. People I trusted turned on me. There was a betrayal, and I lost someone I loved. Emma felt her heart clench at his admission, the pieces of Luca's cold demeanor starting to fit together. Is that why you're so guarded? Because you're afraid of losing someone again? He nodded, a vulnerability in his expression deepening. Yes, I don't want to lose you, Emma. I can't. You mean too much to me. A mixture of emotions swirled within her. Sympathy for his pain, admiration for his honesty, and a fierce desire to bridge the gap between their worlds. Then let me in, she urged, her voice filled with determination. You don't have to face this alone. We can navigate this together. Luca's gaze locked onto hers, the heat of his intensity making her heart race. You have no idea what you're asking, he warned, though his tone was softer, almost pleading. Maybe I don't, she replied, her voice steady. But I know that I don't want to walk away. Not now. Not after everything we've shared. Just then, the sound of screeching tires echoed in the night. Slicing through the tension that hung in the air like a fragile thread, Luca's expression shifted from contemplative to alert, the protective instinct surging within him once again. Stay close to me, he commanded, his tone leaving no room for argument. Emma barely had time to respond before the rival gang's car skidded to a halt nearby. The same two men stepping out with renewed confidence. This time, they weren't alone. A group of their associates emerged from the shadows, their intentions clear as they advanced, fueled by anger and retribution. Luca, one of them shouted, his voice dripping with contempt. You think you can just walk away from this? You've embarrassed us in front of the city. Luca shifted, positioning himself protectively in front of Emma. You don't want to do this, he warned, his voice steady but laced with a simmering rage. Oh, but we do, the second man sneered, his eyes glinting with malice. You've made a mistake thinking you could take what's ours. This is a warning. Emma felt a rush of fear, but it quickly transformed into a fierce resolve as she glanced at Luca. You're not alone in this, remember? Luca turned, meeting her gaze, and for a brief moment, the chaos around them faded. I won't let them hurt you, he vowed, the intensity in his voice echoing the depth of his feelings for her. We'll face this together, she insisted, her voice unwavering. Just as the men moved closer, intent on making their threat clear, Luca leaped into action. Get back, he shouted, stepping forward and defying the odds, his presence radiating authority. Emma's heart raced, both in fear and admiration. She had never seen him like this, fierce, commanding, and ready to protect. The gravity of their situation settled around them, and Emma knew that this moment was pivotal. It wasn't just a clash between rival factions. It was a battle for their futures, for the chance to redefine their lives amidst the chaos of the world they were entangled in. As the tension escalated, Emma took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her decision solidify. She was all in. There was no turning back now. Whatever happened next would change everything. The atmosphere crackled with tension as Luca faced the gathering storm of adversaries, their eyes glinting with hostility. Emma stood beside him, her heart racing, caught between fear and an undeniable urge to stand her ground. She could see the shift in Luca, The protective demeanor that had always surrounded him now morphed into something sharper, more dangerous. "Luca, we can't let them intimidate us," she urged, her voice steady, despite the chaos unfolding. He shot her a look that was a blend of admiration and frustration. "This isn't a game, Emma. These men aren't just thugs. They're driven by vengeance, and they know about you now." Before Emma could respond, the lead thug stepped forward, his posture menacing. "You think you can just play with fire and not get burned, Luca? You've crossed a line, and now she's in the way." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. She couldn't let fear dictate her actions. "What do you want?" she demanded, her voice cutting through the escalating tension. The thug smirked, his confidence palpable. "You know exactly what we want. You'll pay for Luca's arrogance unless he's willing to make amends. And that means choosing between you or his loyalty to the family." Luca's jaw clenched, his eyes darkening with a mix of rage and helplessness. "You think I would ever sacrifice her?" The thug's laughter echoed in the dimly lit street. "You might not have a choice, boss. You see, this isn't just about you anymore." The moment you involved her, she became collateral damage. Emma's heart raced as she processed his words. The danger was real, and it was no longer just Luca's fight. It was hers too. She stepped forward, determination solidifying her resolve. "I won't be a pawn in anyone's game. If you want him, you'll have to go through me." Luca's expression softened as he watched her, a flicker of pride mixing with the anxiety etched on his face. "Emma, don't. No, I will not stand aside while you face this alone," she insisted, locking eyes with him. "I choose to be here, to stand with you. Whatever this life is, I want to face it together." The tension shifted, the rival gang members momentarily stunned by her unexpected defiance. Luca, however, was a different story. He felt his heart swell with something he had long thought buried: hope. "Emma, they're not just threats. They're dangerous, and I can't let you get hurt because of me." "Then let me help you," she urged, her voice softer now. "We can find a way through this. You don't have to carry the burden alone." The lead thug scoffed, breaking the moment. "How touching. But this isn't about love stories. This is business, and you, sweetheart, are a liability." Luca stepped between Emma and the thug, his demeanor shifting into something fierce and protective. "You underestimate her. She's not just anyone. I've fought demons for her, and I'll do it again. You want a war? Then let's go." The rival gang exchanged glances, the air thick with uncertainty. Luca's words ignited a flame in them, a challenge they couldn't ignore. "Fine," the lead thug said, his tone icy. "But remember, you brought this upon yourself. We'll be watching, and next time, you won't have her to shield you." With that, they retreated, leaving a heavy silence in their wake. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline slowly ebb away as the threat dissipated. She turned to Luca, her heart pounding from the encounter. "What now?" Luca ran a hand through his hair, his expression turbulent. "Now we prepare. They'll come back, and next time, it may not be just words." Emma felt a surge of fear but pushed it aside. "Then we fight back, together." Luca looked at her, his eyes searching hers for any hint of hesitation. All he found was determination and a fierce loyalty that made his heart race. "You have no idea what you're asking. This world is brutal, and I can't promise you safety." "Maybe not, but I'd rather face the danger with you than live in fear apart," she replied, her voice unwavering. His heart swelled as he realized the depth of her commitment. "Emma, Don't say it," she interrupted, stepping closer. "Let's focus on what's next. We'll figure everything out together." In that moment, Luca saw not just a woman standing beside him, but a partner ready to face the shadows of his life. It was a revelation that shook him to his core. No longer would he be the solitary figure burdened by the weight of his past. With Emma by his side, he had a reason to fight, to protect her, and in turn to protect himself from the demons that haunted him. They stood in the silence, the echoes of the confrontation lingering in the air. Emma reached out, her hand brushing against his. The contact sent electricity through them, a reminder that despite the chaos, they had each other. "Let's get out of here," she suggested softly, her voice breaking the silence. Luca nodded, his heart racing for entirely different reasons now. As they walked toward his car, the night sky above them felt both ominous and filled with potential. With every step, the stakes grew higher, yet so did the bond that was forming between them. Emma's heart raced, not just from fear, but from the exhilaration of standing beside him. She was no longer just a bystander in his world. She was an integral part of it, and as Luca opened the door for her, she felt something shift within him, a willingness to embrace the chaos of their lives as they navigated the path ahead. "Before we go, you should know," Luca said, his eyes serious. "This isn't just about the enemies we face, it's about us. I care about you, more than I've let on." The weight of his admission hung between them as they locked eyes, and Emma smiled, the warmth of his words igniting something deep within her. "I care about you too, Luca. Let's make sure we're both around to see what comes next." As they drove into the night, the uncertainty of the future loomed ahead. But for the first time, Emma felt a sense of hope. Together, they would face whatever the world threw at them, and maybe, just maybe, they could carve out a place where love could thrive amidst the chaos. As the adrenaline from the confrontation began to fade, Emma and Luca found themselves standing in the aftermath of a storm, the weight of what had just transpired settling heavily upon their shoulders. The street was quiet now, a stark contrast to the chaos that had just erupted. Emma turned to Luca, her heart still racing, and realized that this moment was a turning point. They had faced danger together, and it had forged an unbreakable bond between them. "Luca," she said, her voice steady, "we need to talk about what just happened. This can't be the end of it." She felt a surge of determination. She was no longer just a bystander in his world. She wanted to be a partner, someone who could stand beside him as they navigated the treacherous waters of his life. Luca nodded, his expression a mix of concern and admiration. "You're right, but I want you to understand that this is dangerous. I've spent years building a wall around my life to protect myself, and now you're in the middle of it." Emma stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. "I don't want to be protected anymore. I want to be part of this, whatever this is between us. I've seen the darkness, and I'm willing to face it with you." There was a fierce light in her eyes that made Luca's heart swell. She was brave, more than he had ever anticipated, and it stirred something deep within him, a desire to fight for them both. "Emma, I don't want to lose you," he confessed, the weight of his words hanging in the air. "But this world isn't kind. It's ruthless, and I'm not sure I can keep you safe." "You don't have to keep me safe," she replied, her voice softening. "I can take care of myself, and I'm strong enough to stand by your side. We can figure this out together." He studied her for a moment, his heart torn between the instinct to shield her and the undeniable pull of their connection. "You've already faced danger tonight. I can't ask you to do it again." Emma took a deep breath, knowing that this was the moment to solidify their bond. "You didn't ask me. I chose this. I chose you." Her words hung between them, a promise of solidarity and partnership. Luca felt a surge of hope, something he hadn't dared to feel in a long time. He reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. "Then let's make a plan. We need to be prepared for their next move," he said, his voice resolute. "They won't back down easily." Emma nodded, her determination unwavering. "Let's gather information. We can't let them catch us off guard again." As they strategized, a sense of purpose enveloped them. They began to discuss the rival gangs' operations, their weaknesses, and how to counteract their threats. Emma's insights surprised Luca. She had a knack for understanding people and situations, something he had always taken for granted. "Maybe we can use their arrogance against them," she suggested, her eyes bright with ideas. "If we can create doubt within their ranks, they might hesitate to strike." Luca couldn't help but smile at her resourcefulness. "You're brilliant, you know that?" Her cheeks flushed with warmth at the compliment. "I just want to help. We're in this together, remember?" "Together," he echoed, the word resonating between them like a vow. As they continued to brainstorm, the night deepened around them, and the city hummed with life. Emma felt a sense of empowerment growing within her, fueled by the knowledge that she was no longer just a part of Luca's world. She was an integral player in it, shaping their future together. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity as they put their plan into motion. Emma immersed herself in the intricacies of Luca's world, learning about the players involved and the dynamics at play. She discovered hidden strengths within herself, and Luca watched in awe as she navigated the dangerous landscape with a fierce determination that left him breathless. One evening, as they sat in his luxurious penthouse overlooking the city, Emma turned to Luca, her expression serious. "What if they come for us? What if they decide to retaliate?" Luca took a moment before answering, his gaze steady. "Then we'll be ready. We'll face them head on. I won't let anyone take you from me." His words ignited a fire within her, a spark of courage that she hadn't known existed. "I believe you," she replied, her voice steady, "but I need to know something." "What is it? Why were you so guarded at first? Why did you keep me at a distance?" Luca sighed, the weight of his past pressing down on him. "I was afraid of dragging you into this life, afraid of losing you to the darkness I've seen. I thought I could protect you by keeping you away." Emma reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "You don't have to do that anymore. I choose to be here. With you. I'm not afraid." Luca's heart swelled with emotion, and for the first time, he felt a sense of hope for the future. "Then let's make it work. Let's build something together, something real." With that, they sealed their commitment to one another, a promise that they would face whatever challenges lay ahead as partners. As the days turned into weeks, their bond deepened, and their love flourished amidst the chaos. They faced the rival gang's threats with strategic precision, outmaneuvering them at every turn. Their shared experiences only drew them closer, and soon they found comfort in each other's arms, a refuge from the storm outside. But deep down, Emma knew that the battle was far from over. The rival gang would not simply fade away, and the world they inhabited was rife with danger. Yet, with Luca by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came their way. As they stood together on the balcony one night, gazing at the sprawling city below, Emma turned to Luca, her heart full of hope. "Whatever happens next, I'm not going anywhere." Luca smiled, the warmth of her words wrapping around him like a protective cloak. "Neither am I." And in that moment, they both understood that their journey had only just begun, a journey filled with love, challenges, and an unbreakable bond that would carry them through the darkest of nights. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear.